Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker controversially ended with Rey Skywalker claiming the last name Skywalker for her own, but, despite the controversy, this moment connected to the original plan for Star Wars, Episode I, The Phantom Menace. The Skywalkers are easily the most important family in Star Wars movies and TV shows, and the Skywalker family tree has dominated the franchise from the very beginning. Perhaps for that reason, many bristled, to say the least, when Rey chose the name for herself. Star Wars worked to make it clear that, in-universe, the Skywalkers themselves approved, as the Force ghosts of Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa smiled down at Rey when she announced her new last name, but that did little to resolve the backlash. In part, this was due to the generally negative perception of the sequel trilogy, which many still perceive as some of Star Wars' worst movies. This name change for Rey has a connection to the very first movie chronologically in the Star Wars timeline, suggesting it wasn't a throwaway concept at all. The Phantom Menace almost ended with a name change too. Star Wars concept and storyboard artist Ian McCaig shockingly explained in a recent interview that there was almost an alternate ending to The Phantom Menace that would have meant one major change to the franchise. In an earlier draft of the script, Obi-Wan Kenobi was meant to be the older Jedi Master, and Qui-Gon Jinn was meant to be the younger apprentice. It was Obi-Wan who would have died at the hands of Darth Maul, and Qui-Gon would have honored his fallen Jedi Master by taking his name. This ending would have symbolized Qui-Gon fully taking on Obi-Wan's legacy, especially by training Anakin Skywalker following his Jedi Master's death, and, in a sense, his entire identity. McCaig explained. In addition to this having massive implications for the Phantom Menace and for Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's respective stories, this reveal suggests that there was plenty of precedent in Star Wars for Rey to have chosen her own name. Chosen names have always been part of Star Wars. Even with the Phantom Menace having a different ending in the final cut, Star Wars has an extensive history of characters choosing their own names, especially their last names. Solo: A Star Wars story revealed that Han Solo adopted the last name Solo after an Imperial officer used it in light of him having no surname and traveling alone. In the prequel trilogy, Padme, whose actual last name was Nabri, chose the last name Amidala when she was Queen of Naboo to protect her family. The Sith naming convention also means that characters are constantly switching names. While Anakin Skywalker's Sith name, Darth Vader, may have been given to him by Palpatine, other dark side Force users such as Kylo Ren chose their own name, likely because Kylo Ren wasn't a true Sith and was mimicking this Sith tradition to legitimize himself. It's also notable that Leia, who was a Skywalker by blood, elected not to claim the last name for her own, as she never truly forgave Vader and also was an Organa in every way, as Bale had once said. Rey Skywalker fits so well thematically with Lucas' ideas. Rey Skywalker training in The Rise of Skywalker. Many would likely argue that Rey taking the last name Skywalker is different because she laid claim to a family name with such an extensive legacy, ignoring the fact that Luke and Leia directly expressed their approval. This alternate ending to The Phantom Menace proves that, not only is it in keeping with Star Wars history for Rey to choose this last name, but also, it reinforces George Lucas' own ideas. This ending, which very nearly was included in The Phantom Menace, supports the idea that taking on someone else's name is a way to honor them. It will be interesting to see how Rey's upcoming Star Wars movie, rumored to be titled Star Wars: New Jedi Order, will address this tension surrounding Rey Skywalker's name. Details regarding New Jedi Order have been slow to come to light, although there have been some updates from Daisy Ridley more recently. It seems impossible that the movie would entirely gloss over this issue, though. Sadly, Rey Skywalker's last name is never going to be universally accepted among the fanbase. It is simply too embedded in other controversies within the franchise, particularly pertaining to the sequel trilogy and its reception. Nevertheless, this alternate ending to Star Wars, Episode I, The Phantom Menace proves that, not only was Rey Skywalker's last name change in The Rise of Skywalker legitimate, but also, it is upholding a long history and tradition in the Star Wars franchise.